Hello, hello.
Hey Valko, can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm in the post office actually. Been queuing for an hour, and it's this big building where the connection is bad. Uh,
Oh, what brings you to the post office for an hour-long queue?
yeah, accounting, bureaucratic stuff.
Uh, hate that.
But you can hear me fine.
Yeah, no, it's good. You sound like you're in an echoey room a little bit, but no, I'm
Yeah,
hearing
yeah, yeah,
you very, very well.
yeah. Well, anyway, sorry about that. Happy Monday to you.
Yeah, man. What's new
How's it
with
rolling?
you?
Yeah, had a nice chill weekend. Currently in Spain, flying to France tomorrow. and and yeah, cranking away on work. How
Are
about
you
you?
going to France for just like another stop on the digital nomad journey, or you've got business there, or what?
Well, it's more the visiting girlfriend and family and stuff like that, and then we'll be back.
Oh, that's right. She's there. I forgot.
Then we come back to Spain, and then we'll I don't know travel around more during the summer. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. What's up with you?
Nothing, man. I'm in New York. Had a very relaxing weekend, super successful punks meetup on Friday. I need to get the picture. It ended up being like six or seven of us.
That's
Um,
pretty good then.
I was surprised because I did it. It was super last minute notice, and only one or two people had actually RSVP'd, kind of like 4 hours before the event.
Yeah,
And I thought, were gonna bail because nobody else seemed to want to come. But then last minute, people didn't have plans. It was a Friday. Everyone was looking for an excuse to grab a beer at 4 o'clock. And so,
yeah.
yeah, we had a great turnout. Awesome folks. Had like a punk who's like a venture capitalist there. We had a guy who used to work at Coinbase there. We had
Oh,
a
nice.
former punk who's an ape holder now, who he lost his punk in like a Bend DAO loan, who he's like building a play to earn game, and he was visiting from Paris actually for like 9 days. So we were able to show him like a pretty good time. And then had a guy who worked in healthcare tech, but is building out his own non-alcoholic beverage startup. I mean, it was a really cool day. And we also had some random guy who was a self-proclaimed Bitcoin maxi who kept interfering with our group, shouting crypto power launch and then like chugging his beer and proclaiming Bitcoin maximalist statements. And eventually I would convince him to leave. But it was very entertaining. We spent like 4 hours together and it was sick. It was great.
Nice. It's actually my turn now, but to pick up my letter. But yeah, so where did you manage to get these punks together? Like, where did you post the event?
Oh, I posted it, dude. I posted it everywhere. I actually invited people from Nouns DAO, people from Punks, V1 Punks, Meebits, Zenica's 333 Club, and the Academy, and I posted it on my Twitter. But the only people that showed up were all punks, or one former punk, who I imagine will rejoin the collection very soon. But
Do I
yeah,
know any of these people? You think?
I've met I've met one or two of them before, at New York CryptoPunk meetups, and then the rest of them I knew, like, online. I'll post a picture and you'll recognize some of the names and stuff, I think.
Yeah, man, I'm here. It was just my turn on at the post office, and they tell me, "Oh, you need an ID, right?" And and I mean, I don't carry my fucking ID around, so I have a picture of my
Right, so you
ID.
show them your CryptoPunk.
Not exactly. So I show her a picture of my ID, and then she's like, "Yeah, sorry, no." And I'm like, "Man, you're kidding me." It's like you queue for
Yeah.
nearly an hour, and then that's what you get. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Dude, that's the worst. I've had similar situations. Mainly in the US, we have the, Department of Motor Vehicles, the DMV, where you, like, get your license and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, it's honestly hell on earth. Like, if you ask any American about their experiences with the DMV, like, their face will go red and they just get super, super pissed. It's not fun at all.
Well, yeah, I mean, I thinking of it now, I kind of understand. I mean, anyone could have a screenshot of my passport, but I mean, even then, you could like fake a passport or something. Like, I don't know.
I
It's
know.
not.
It's like their
It's the
their official their official method is a fucking piece of plastic and paper.
exactly right.
Like,
It's
come
like
on. Like
they're
we
not gonna
have
scan it or anything, and it's like.
yeah, it's like, come on, guys. We have like biometrics and like cryptography. Like, what are you doing?
Speaking of biometry, have you heard about WorldCoin?
Yeah, the one where people were gaming the system by scanning their chihuahua's eyeballs to get more coins for quote real humans.
Oh shit! That part I didn't hear, but there was an episode that dropped about WorldCoin because they're launching soon. I mean, they're kind of like now they're in beta, if I understand correctly. But an episode on Empire got out last week, and I listened into that. So what do you know about WorldCoin? Like, what have you heard?
I mean, I just remember that their whole pitch was that they were going to give everybody this coin. Like it wasn't proof of wallet, it was like proof of human. And their method was biometrics. And I think part of it, they had these devices that you could buy so that you could basically be an ambassador to go around and onboard people. And it started to sound a little bit like a multi-level marketing scheme where it's like, hey, buy this orb and you can for $1,000 you can buy it, but then everybody you onboard, you get like some percentage of their coins, or I don't remember the details, but it smelled a lot like a multi-level marketing scheme to me, but I know that the high level story was like give these coins, like airdrop every real human a coin. And the way they were doing that obviously was biometrics. So anybody who's like like a real like privacy nerd or privacy aware or concerned at all, like immediately like tons of red flags were going off. They're like, oh, like biometrics and like an immutable database. Like I wonder what could go wrong here. And then like three weeks later, you hear stories of people like scanning their dog's eyeballs to like game
Sure.
the system, and that was the Cybele attack. For
When
like
when when did
and
you
then
when did you hear about this? Like a long time ago or recently?
oh, dude, WorldCoin was like a thing like a year ago. I'm surprised that like you're even talking about it. I thought they were over, but I guess
It's
they
fine. Yeah,
actually
yeah.
have a roadmap and like a
So
plan.
so the thing is, like, Sam Altman is the founder, I guess, or
Oh.
main guy behind it. And essentially, what they're trying to crack is a fair distribution and onboarding as many people as possible, right? Because if you think of, let's say, Bitcoin, how it started, like it was a very concentrated distribution at the beginning, right? And the onboarding part, it's only like these super mega, engineer type, hacker type people could figure out how to mine Bitcoin, right? And even today in our cryptos, like I don't know, Ether, like to get Ether, like it's so not easy for someone to I don't know to get onboarded, right? And so the WorldCoin angle, and this is by the way, I'm quoting the podcast here that I listened to a couple of days ago. The WorldCoin angle here is that they basically just get you a wallet based on your biometrics. So everyone has a wallet, right? By definition. And and then you get access to your coins if you do this biometric onboarding, which is indeed the eyeball scanning. And then they go into details about why they chose eyeball scanning, because that was the only one that could guarantee like really good uniqueness. They looked into fingerprints, they looked into face scanning, blah blah blah. But what the guy was saying is that it has the potential to be like the biggest onboarding of crypto that has ever happened, and they're doing it on optimism, right? So on an Ethereum L2, and yeah, it sounded pretty interesting, and like things like they were talking about the universal basic income and all the inflation schedule that there is and the incentives and yeah, so I think they're I don't know whether they're launching soon or like I think a year ago they were in beta and now they want to roll it out. And they're like testing in like kind of, let's say, cheaper countries like I don't know, Portugal, Africa, Asia, all that kind of stuff. So I don't know if I find the podcast episode, I'll pin it above. But it was really interesting. I mean, I don't know if I want to get my eyeball scanned and put it in a database, but you know, Facebook and stuff already has a shit ton about us,
Yeah.
data wise.
I'm like a pretty privacy minded person, and so I'm averse to stuff like that. But at the same time, like at a certain point, like any efforts to like mask or hide your biometrics or personal details, like they start to feel futile. And that's not to say we should say, well, fuck it, it's not even worth trying. But like, you have to remember, um, we basically like we walk around and we're constantly like leaking our DNA. Like your hair could fall on the ground and like now somebody can get a lot of information from you. Like we're constantly using like public waste systems and like for like going to the bathroom, right? Like there's all these ways that like people can just go and like capture like whether you're opting in or not, like legally to them having your biometrics. Like there's tons of ways people can get like, for example, your genetic sequence, like or your face data, right? Like there's just cameras all over the world. One interesting instance actually the CEO at my old job kind of told me about this is and he's like really hardcore privacy nerd. He was boarding excuse me, he was boarding a flight to I forget where, but he was boarding on Delta Airlines, and Delta Airlines now has these new machines when you are boarding your flight that instead of tapping your boarding pass to scan to get on, you just like look into a camera and it scans your face and it goes, "Great, you're
Oh
allowed on,"
wow.
and you get on. And I've seen those throughout the states, and I've seen them even more often when I go like abroad to like Korea or like Japan. Um, but anyways, like he like went through this process and was like, "No, like I don't want to do this. Like I don't want you to have my face data." And they were kind of like, "Oh well, we already have everybody's face data." And he was like, "Wait, what the hell? Like how do you have my face data?" And so he like went through kind of this process of figuring out like, well, where did they get the information to check that like my face is who I am? And apparently, like at the DMV, when he got his license, basically, you know, he opted in the fine print somewhere um, to sharing this information. So it's like kind of shocking, like, the information and data sharing that happens. Like, but even at like a state level or a department level, they're like working with private enterprises, for example, Delta, to share information on biometrics of somebody's face, which definitely feels very like big brothery. And I don't know if I like it, but at a certain point, it's unavoidable, right? Like anybody can take a picture of your face anywhere. And in most states, it's perfectly fair. Like it's just you're in public, and so that's that.
I mean, not to mention that in the streets you have all this CCTV, which you know takes video images and like stores it somewhere. So and then they'll probably be applying like AI stuff to that, and they probably already do it in China as well. But like this anecdote you mentioned, was it when he was boarding the flight? So it was the check-in to the flight, or was it the border control when he arrives to the country? Because it
No, no,
happens to me.
no. It was like at the gate to get on the plane.
I see. Because for the border control stuff, like it happens to me very often that there's this machine that essentially like scans your face, and then
Oh yeah.
you tap your passport, you scan your face, it's you, okay, they let you through, and then it's no longer a human that kind of lets you in the country.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know about this world coin thing. I didn't realize that you said it was the guy behind OpenAI is behind it. Is that happening?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
That makes WorldCoin seem, I guess, slightly more legitimate than I had previously thought it was in my mind. But
Or creepy, because I don't know what Sam Altman's reputation has been recently. Did you hear he was in front of what was it, Congress, or what you call it? He was testifying about AI safety, I think this week or last week, because this week is Monday.
yeah, I mean,
And
dude,
yeah,
I increasingly get the sense I don't spend a lot of time with my conspiracy theorist friends, but I spend enough time to like kind of understand what the current trends are in um, that world and the general sentiment right now. Because I like asked some of these people, like, well, why is Elon like fighting back against this AI thing when he knows like any efforts to sign a petition to stop the development or freeze the development temporarily of AI like is futile. Like I think Elon's smart enough to know that that is a absolutely futile attempt and that like you can't stop this sort of technology. It's just going to continue to progress, right? And especially it's especially ironic when he's, one of the original founders along with Sam Altman. And the answer they all like kind of give back to me is like, basically like Elon is potentially concerned about the direction it's going, but at the end of the day, like what's really happening beneath the surface here is an arms race, like similar
Mm,
to a
yeah,
nuclear
yeah.
arms race, right? Like people trying to make as many warheads as possible. Like at this point, like freezing development of AI within the United States would be like if in the middle of an arms race we decided let's just stop producing nukes. Like it would
Yeah.
probably be like detrimental to national security. Now, I haven't gone down the rabbit hole, so I don't really have super strong opinions on this, but like what I just said actually checks out at a high level to me. And it's actually from that lens, like I generally tend to take the optimistic lens of AI. Like we talked about this on like the last episode with MCB or the previous to last episode. Like I think it unlocks powers and makes people superhumans both for work as well as creative things. Like it's a beautiful thing, right? I can make art that I couldn't make before. I can make content that I couldn't make before. That's cool. But the angle that makes me worried is this like nuclear arms race that's happening with AI. It's
Mm,
actually
mm,
like
mm.
super scary, and whoever wins
So,
that
so do you
is in
think
a
it's
really strong position.
so you're saying it's already like state and country level, not just company level?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think it probably has been for years, but
Yeah.
now it's just like everybody's feeling it, like especially if you think about people in charge, like, we've all met executives at companies who are super high ranking and they like make decisions firing from the hip based on headlines they see in the fucking Wall Street Journal. Like, they definitely have their own sources of information and teams and blah 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 blah. But like you can't help but like be affected by the trends and what's in the news cycles, whether it's from individual contributors on Twitter or like big media outlets. So I think the whole issue now is like hypersensitive, not just to executives at private companies, but like literally, those in power. Like it's very obvious like where things are heading now and how close we are to kind of completely new shifts in technology.
Mm.
Like being able to resuscitate loved ones, but they reconstruct an AI that's completely based on like their journals and pictures and the things they said. And so, when your grandma dies, you can still talk to her. Like we are so close to that being possible, and that isn't even that impressive relative to like what will come, and it's kind of scary.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I honestly don't know what to expect. I guess I'm hopeful to the positive sense, but I think it's gonna potentially play out in within the next decade. I mean, seeing ChatGPT 4 now, I mean, God knows what 5 is gonna be like and 6 and stuff like that.
Have
But
you checked out the app, the iOS app?
no, no, actually, yeah, I saw they released it last week, but that's pretty good. They put it at your fingertips, so I'll definitely check it out because I mean, on my desktop I have it like saved as a tab. It's still kind of uh not super useful. How to say, like you can use it instead of googling, but like the fact that it's only been trained till I don't know 2001 or something. Like for example, I was looking into Lido staking and I asked him, what do you think of Lido finance, right? And he said, sorry, I don't know what Lido finance is.
Yeah.
So there's the bad, that's kind of the things that with time is going to improve. So
Yeah, I mean, it's just a quick addition to its like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
data set, and that issue is resolved. I mean, I use ChatGPT like a freakish amount now. Like I'm
So
probably
so
fine.
what do you use it for? Like describe kind of the workflows you manage to integrate it in.
Like rather than like try to make stuff up off the top of my head, I'm just gonna go to it and like look up what I've been doing recently. So previous 7 days, chat history. Okay, so recently I asked it to brainstorm some tweet ideas because I'm really fascinated. We talked about this on one of the previous spaces, but I'm
Yeah,
really
yeah,
fascinated with the overlap between the open source methodology and the Web3 ethos.
yeah,
And I kind of asked it to come up with some research on the overlap there between the two ideologies and then come up with like 5 or 6 tweets. And I actually didn't like love the tweets that it came up with.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think I actually queued up 1 or 2 just as a test, but that was one thing I did recently, so that was kind of cool. Um, I used Bard for this one because I still haven't figured out how to use ChatGPT to like scrape articles, but there was a really cool article by Vitalik, probably like last year on network states, like his thoughts on network states, and I've kind of committed myself to reading half of like the shit Vitalik writes at this point because he's so brilliant. And this was one article from my reading list I just wanted to read, but had never got around to. So I said, you know what? Why don't I just have ChatGPT give me the cliff notes on it? And so that was something I did recently that was pretty cool. Um, I had it try to craft a killer pitch for my Web3 community because I've been kind of struggling to communicate the value in like 30 seconds to people. So I gave it a big dump of information and I said, hey, like help me come up with like a really killer elevator pitch. And I think it actually did a pretty good job for that. I've had it come up with funny birthday card wishes for friends recently. Um, I mean, dude, like so many.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
I've
mean,
used it for consulting work too, like actual work.
yeah, yeah. I actually also tried the Twitter thing. You know, give me a good snappy short tweet for, I don't know, NFTs or something like this. But it felt very much forced. You know, it like was like, oh, buy my NFT hashtag. I don't know, to the moon and things like that. You know, it like if I would,
Yo, ChatGPT loves hashtags when you tell it to write tweets. I always have to,
yeah.
after the fact, hit stop generating and then say, bitch, no hashtags, please.
But
I just need to include
so
that in my original prompt.
speaking of that, like the fact that it's not up to date with, you know, the 2023 new Twitter algorithm, you know, already is like a huge disadvantage, right? Because like a couple of months ago there was a big update in the algorithm, which is open source, blah blah blah. So the fact that it's probably not trained on that, you know, shows that it's still not, that it's still lacking and maybe not the best of tools, you know. But I see the potential, you know. It's not like, I wouldn't say it's like useful as hell to me at the moment, but I definitely see the potential.
Speaking of Twitter algo updates, did you see some of the more recent ones? NFT God posted a really good thread on it yesterday.
Oh no, tag it if you can. I'd
All
love to
right,
read that.
let me find it and get it pulled up because it seems like we might be pivoting back to a reply based meta.
What does it mean? It seems like, has it already been updated or?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. I mean, I think so. Here, I'm pinning it to the space. The way your tweets are ranked has changed dramatically. Twitter just released the latest algorithm. He spent 10 hours reading it, so we don't have to. Um, no, but seriously, like if you look at the second tweet in this thread, it kind of shows how the points or weightings on different factors um, has changed, and now there's a much greater weight on did it get replied to. That's like a factor of 9.
Really?
Yeah, so
What?
basically, like the highest yield thing is getting replies, and then after that, it's like getting retweets, getting your profile clicked, and getting it favorited. So that's pretty huge. But then if you kind of go further, they've added this, and I don't know exactly where this fits in, but they're borrowing Google's PageRank algorithm, which is like the PageRank one, like if high quality pages based on their own reputation score, which I don't even know how that's calculated, but if high reputation pages include a link to your page, then your page gets a better rank.
Hmm.
And that's in essence the Google page ranking algo. And Twitter is, I think, doing a similar thing to determine which tweets show up in feeds. So basically, if I'm a high value account and I start mentioning some new shit account that I just created, that's going to help accelerate it pretty quickly, which is pretty powerful. But there are other throttles and breakpoints. Like if the account's like less than 30 days, like it's kind of like throttled and won't be shown. Um,
Hmm, hmm, hmm. Interesting. 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 I mean,
oh, and
uh,
threads. Threads are like if you scroll down, there's even more points, like bonus points for threads again. So I feel like 6 months ago we were in a thread and reply meta, and then that shifted a bit with the last open source kind of reveal or the
I mean, so
initial open source reveal.
here's my take on this open source algorithm, right? When I tried to Google, like explain me the latest Twitter algorithm, it threw me out YouTube videos that were like 1 year old or articles that were like 6 months old. Like I feel there's not a good place to find the latest update, like literally what you just shared. Like NFT
Did you
dot.
see what he says at the end of his thread? He basically says, and this is why I brought it up initially. Um, he says like take the code, paste it into ChatGPT or Bard, and
Yeah.
like ask it questions about the code.
Yeah, but I feel you, I can do that, but it's not I mean, I wouldn't say it's like the most normie thing to do, take the code. Like, like I can figure out how to get that chunk of code and it doesn't really scare me. But, most people, they see a chunk of code, it's scary as fuck, you know?
No, for sure.
So I didn't see like easy to digest video explanations on YouTube. Maybe I didn't look enough, to be honest,
Maybe we
but
should
like,
make some. Should we just make some like TikToks this week, like real quick?
but
Seize
that
seize the
could be
day.
an idea. That could be an idea. Like every time there's an update or something, because the fact that it's open source on GitHub, that means that the skilled developers can figure it out. You know, till the skill, like the gap between the skilled developer to the average Twitter user who wants to create a bit of an engagement, there's a huge gap over there.
We should make like a experimental account. It's like a niche Twitter account, and it literally just tells you tips on the current open source Twitter algorithm. And we have it generate transcripts for TikToks, and then we have an AI actually like read the transcript. It's a completely fabricated character,
I think
and
that's a
that's
good idea, but like
all it
I
does.
don't think we wouldn't even need to do like TikTok, just like a thread or something, like what Thread Guy did over here. That's
Yeah,
already
yeah, yeah.
great information. And if you want to build your Twitter, you can like include that as part of the information you're sharing with your followers, like I definitely would find it valuable, read it, retweet it, like uh,
We should feed this problem statement to ChatGPT. Like, hey, we can't find updates on the late. We can't find content on the latest Twitter algo, and so we want to make a Twitter bot that does it automatically. Like, help us.
yeah. Do you know how often this algo gets updated? Like,
I mean, what the initial kind of open source reveal was less than 6 months ago. Yeah.
yeah, all right.
So, I mean, it seems like so far it's at a cadence of 3 months. But frankly, even if it was updated every year, like there's still evergreen content to be made just simply on like how to game and get the best out of the current algo. Even if it's repetitive every 30 days, like it doesn't matter.
Yeah, but and then the next question is like, are these updates like huge breaking updates, or they're just kind of like smaller updates, right? Because if suddenly previously the algo was optimizing for likes and then now it's optimizing for replies, that's a big change, like just these coefficients, that plays a
Right.
huge role.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know kind of like what conversations took place leading up to these changes. Like what problems were they seeing or opportunities were
Yeah,
they
yeah,
seeing
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
that, that fueled these changes? Because I think we can all ultimately guess like the North Star metric is attention. It's like
yeah, yeah.
time spent on app. Like that is actually the only thing that matters. And
Engagement.
everything falls like sub metrics under that. So they're
Yeah,
probably
but
seeing an
let's say,
imbalance
Zalko,
underneath that.
let's say your content somehow is very good for likes, and then you're crushing it with the algo that optimizes for likes. And then a month later, they completely devalue likes and suddenly like they incentivize for replies. Now, does that mean you will have to change your content to somehow encourage replies? It's kind of stupid, no? I mean,
I mean, it definitely feels stupid. I mean, looking at the code, that's exactly like the playbook I will be implementing over the next 2 weeks, and actually hard to retrain your brain because you start to get
exactly,
in a
exactly,
groove, but, I'm
exactly.
gonna try it. I mean, that's what the code says, so, like, fuck it.
but and it would be also nice to know the why. Why did Twitter change these variables? Why did they
Dude,
tweak it that way?
we just asked ChatGPT to role play as Twitter's head of product and board, and we give them this update and say, "Why did you make these changes from your old code base?" And then we'll probably get 80% accuracy. I'm kind of trolling, but like I might try that later today.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
We could always at Elon.
Yeah, he will take the time to give us a detailed answer.
Yeah. Hey, you
But
never know,
but
man.
but
You miss
but
every
but
shot you don't take, right?
that's true. So maybe changing subject a slight bit here. This week, I tried something new, and it was pretty interesting. I joined the Nakamigos community, right? And I don't know if you saw it, but I bought one. Right, they were fairly cheap, and it was an amazing discovery, right? Like, because I mean, this far I was just heads down in punks, right? And I was like, you know what? Maybe there's more to NFTs than just punks. And so
Don't be ridiculous.
well, what do you mean? Like, I'm not saying in terms of like
I'm
investing.
kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm still of the opinion that in terms of investment, right? Punks as the blue chip is like a safe bet. But just to kind of, because but the entrance price point for punks is just basically inaccessible for everyone, right? And what I found really interesting about the Nakamigos is that the supply is high, right? There's 20,000, and the entrance price point is low. It was like, I don't know what I paid, point 0.2 or something. And it gives like, and then the distribution is way bigger than with a 10K collection. And I don't know, and then you get a shit ton of follows, you get a shit ton of engagement, and it's just
So what was super, if you had to like,
it,
you said it was eye opening for you. What was like the one thing? Because I remember like when I joined the nouns community and
yeah,
I tweeted about it, I got a fuck ton of followers, and I was like, oh, this is like an interesting strategy for just like
yeah.
getting followers. I'm not going to change my PFP, but that would probably, you know, even be like maximize the strategy. Like if you actually change your PFP, that would really put up some serious new follower numbers. But was there something more than like,
Well, so
wow, the community
so
is now my community?
well, I mean, it's just been a week, right? But it felt like all these new profiles, they appeared from I don't know where, and they have this Nakamigo profile picture, and then they all follow you, and suddenly you have like 200-300 more followers. And then I did a thing where I was like, okay, if this tweet gets 200 likes, I will buy a Nakamigo. So there was this like engagement farming piece to it, and then it got retweeted, blah blah blah, and then it was like, oh, we want you part of it, stuff like that. And yeah, it's pretty, it felt like it was not that much about the financial part of it, because point 0.2, point 0.3 ETH is not really, I mean, it's a lot of money still, but it's not like 100K, right? So I don't know what punks was like early days, but I feel it must have been this aspect of like, like not that much the financialization, but just we're all kind of just having fun, having a laugh. I don't know. So what I'm thinking, I might like do it with another community maybe the next month or something, just to see if it was specific to Nakamigos, or it was or this is the case with every community.
All right, I'm gonna try a different approach than you, but I'm not gonna do it on my main account.
All
I'm
right.
gonna take one of my secret alt accounts, and once every 2 weeks, I'm going to announce that I bought a new popular JPEG. Whatever is the trending thing.
Yeah.
Milady's fine. Nakamiga is fine. Maybe even a CryptoPunk. But I'm not actually going to buy it. I'm going to right click and save it. And I'm going to see how quickly I can grow to 1,000 followers.
So what will you do? You will like join a community without buying an NFT,
I
or
won't join the community. I'll right click and save your JPEG. I will
yeah.
tweet it from my account and say, just join the punks community. And then everyone will be like, yay, and follow me. And then by the time they catch on to me, I'll change my handle and my name and rotate into a new community.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's an experiment, right? Probably could be done, but I mean, listen. At the end of the day, it's all just experiments. For me, it was like a surprising experiment. You know, what you did with nouns was also an experiment, but like a noun costs a lot of money, right? Whereas just a Nakamigo is not that much, or whatever.
Oh,
So
for sure. Like I'm sure if I bought like a D God or something and I tweeted about it, probably get like 500 followers in like 3 days.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah,
Did you see this thread that I pinned about who they hypothesize is behind Nakamigos? Because people are thinking Sartoshi is part of the core team.
so Satoshi definitely has something to do with it, right? Because all like Satoshi people got whitelisted for the mint, right? So there's a lot of overlap between Emphers and
But
Nakamigos, but
what if one of the other core team members is just like a big MFer guy and that
I
was
mean,
that?
listen, these guys are marketing geniuses. There's no other way of putting it, right? It's but to create such a like because Nakamigos were a thing, let's say 3 months ago, right? Or 2 months ago, I don't remember, but it was still the bear market, right? To create such a craze and such a hype in the bear market, you have to be a marketing genius. And Satoshi himself was a marketing genius.
Yo, this thread speculates that Matt and John at Larva Labs are also
Yeah,
associated with this project.
yeah, I did see that. Well, what's interesting about this is that these are humans, right? Like Nakamigos are like humans. They're not like some animal caricature, you know?
Well, one of them's an alligator and one of them's a frog.
I mean, the higher end, right? The rarer types, but it's still like
Oh yeah, yeah, okay.
95% humans. It's not like the bored apes or the sappy seals or whatever, or the but yeah, I mean, listen, if I would encourage you to do the same experiment I did. See, worst case you get a good laugh, and
Look, man, I know you're trying to use me as your exit liquidity and you can't fool me.
all right, man. You got me. You got me. You did get me.
I mean, dude, it's interesting, like, seeing you talk about it and reading this thread and seeing that maybe Sartoshi and Richard and, I mean, heck, maybe even Matt and John from Larva Labs are part of this, even if that's, like, complete bullshit and part of their just marketing genius is getting me to even entertain the idea that these people could be associated, right? Because like you said, they added all the Sartoshi people. That's, like that makes you think Sartoshi's involved, but, like, that's like if I left, like, a a note at a crime scene saying Mr. Forever was here. It's like it
Yeah.
could be a complete like false lead. So I
Well,
really
well.
don't
So,
know, but
so Sartoshi was definitely part of it because all the people that minted end of Sartoshi, they had whitelist for the Nakamigos mint, right? So Sartoshi was definitely part of it somehow. The Matt and John, I think, is total BS, right? That's just to kind of create the hype. But what I found interesting, though, Ben.eth, he did the PsyOps bullshit.
Mhm.
Uh, the accounts that sent the most ETH to the PsyOp pre-sale were Nakamigos, right? That I found super funny.
Yeah, but dude, yeah, that could be a psyop.
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know, like maybe it was just like manipulated or somehow, but there was the screenshot circulating that with the charts of how many you had zero punks that sent. Well, I wouldn't say zero, but like you had less than 10 punks that sent ETH to the pre-sale, and then you had a bunch of Nakamigos, you had a bunch of Miladies,
Like,
you had a
should we
bunch of
just launch a project that like whitelists all Larva Labs originated projects and then just send half of the primary sales to the Larva Labs wallets? And it's just like it's a donation to them, but then it makes people think, you know? Hmm,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
is that the play? Forfeit half your profits to make 2x the profits you would have otherwise made, or 10x rather.
I mean, I honestly don't know, but like because I'm not that deep into kind of this marketing, what's it called, 3D chess, you know. But it seems like there are some people that are, you know, and
Oh, I saw that Jake has to be up. I'm gonna bring him up on here. Jake is very plugged in with all things emerging NFT projects. Jake, what's good? Are you Nakamigoing?
Well, yeah, there's a lot of things I've been hearing about Nakamigos, like the Nakamoto guys, part of it possibly, you know. And yeah, there's all these different things that are being said, the founders of it and whatnot. But yeah, I think there's like a large group of people who were, like you said, a part of the end of Sartoshi and stuff like that were a part of it. Some people are trying to say the people behind what was that the project behind Goblin Town was possibly part of that too. So there's some might be part of that, and there's all these other groups that are being apparently claimed they're part of it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, Goblin Town kind of crushed it, so I wouldn't be surprised if people with that level of talent were behind something like Nakamiko's that is also doing well, but you know, who knows?
But on your note that you made about making a Twitter account and then screenshotting NFT, saying, "Oh, look at me, guys! I'm part of this new community." I kind of did something like that with this account, but similar to how Zunks, right, were I guess the last 10K punks, and they all use different traits or whatever. There was another project that did that with the Bored Apes, where it was like Lost Ape Swamp Club, it was. And they basically hand picked the traits, made sure they didn't match any of the existing apes, and then they were like making them one of one customs. And I bought one for like what was it, zero point zero 0.02 or zero point zero 0.03 or something like that. I think it was around zero point zero 0.04 after gas. And I made a little edit with my one of my apps, like welcome to the swamp or whatever. Ape follow ape because in a way it was an ape, right? And then I got like 400 followers off of that.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, and interesting because like if you were to use my punk or Forever Punk's punk, people would quickly be like, "Well, hold on, that can't be yours. That's somebody else's." Which then leads you to believe, okay, well, I can't use a punk that is like a public punk. I'll look for a punk from like a really dormant wallet. But even then, a lot of people know like who owns what, and you can kind of quickly look it up. And
yeah.
maybe the play is you design using the punk attributes a completely unique punk that doesn't actually exist,
Hard to
but it's
search,
it's
yeah.
believable to exist. And that way nobody could
Exactly.
possibly come up and be like, "Well, that's mine." Because they'll look at it and be like, "Oh, that's similar to mine, but it's not mine because it looks like Forever Punk's, but it doesn't have the goatee or the earring." That could be a strategy. We could make a whole NFT collection of blue chips that don't exist, and then we could sell them for business development purposes.
But I
Yes.
think
So
the problem here is that like you destroy your reputation once, you know, like if you come up with like a fake punk or something, you know, people will get onto it fairly quickly, and then if it circulates around, you know, like so I think like
I
with
mean,
these
yeah,
account,
you would be like an anti-hero, but you would have notoriety, right? Any press is good press, right? You know?
yeah, it depends on who your public audience is. If your public audience looks into these kind of stuff in detail, looks on chain, then it's, you know, you'll get caught fairly quickly. If your public audience is like whatever, they just check it quickly, they don't look into it and just retweet, then you
Bro,
know it
there are
might
like there
work.
are
But
like 5 people who look into it in the world.
a lot of punks look into it. Yeah, yeah. But I know what you mean.
Yeah,
But
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, dude, like I rarely click on somebody's hexagon. If somebody has a hexagon of a punk, I like subconsciously I'm like, okay, that's like probably legit. I could probably click on it to make sure it's legit, but if you made this NFT collection of like non-existent JPEGs and
mm,
you hexagoned it, like you would probably have people fooled. And then yeah, eventually somebody would figure out. But by then, you just change your username, change your handle, and you rotate to the next community. And like if I changed my handle from Valco or from at punk76429 and Valco to something else, like how would you unless you blocked me, like how would you know it was me?
yeah,
Right?
yeah, yeah.
I'm just some other account you follow now that, has a monkey JPEG instead of a punk one and has some believable NFT pseudonym name?
Well, you could, like you said, make spin up that account, whatever, but it could be as like an art thing, kind of like a disruptive art thing where you make these derivatives, like you mentioned,
Oh yeah,
from
it's
punk.
obviously performance art.
Yeah, and it could be like punk's 76 420, with some
A
special green glasses or something and some like different colored background or whatever, and then making special things. But yeah, like there are so many derivative projects out there that you could literally pull um, uh, a a different ape, a different Pepe, a different punk, right? But I'm just wondering, there are so many collections out there that are derivatives. And people are kind of like, oh, I don't want to get that derivative, whatever. I want to support the main collection. But with Milady, it seems like every single derivative that comes out is like brought into the ecosystem fold of Milady Maker. And it's like everybody loves it, and then the floor goes up, everybody's crazy about it. I'm wondering, what has Milady done to
Is
allow
Milady a
for,
CCO project? Because I'd
I
say
believe so.
at a simple level, like CCO projects always celebrate um, derivatives in a way that commercial right projects don't. That could be part of it, but maybe there's just such an admiration for the meme. It's such a wholesome appreciation that plays into it too.
Yeah, like some people claim that like derivatives, they suck liquidity that would go to the main collection, right? Like Vermilio was like around 1 ETH. I saw it the last time. Malays were hovering around 5 ETH. People could say, oh, 5 Vermilios could equal one Milady. People are stealing liquidity out of that. But I'm saying, like, how was Milady so celebrated as basically the derivatives of Milady? There's probably hundreds at this point. And everybody just loves them. Compared to, say, if someone made an ape derivative, it'd be like taken out, or if someone made a punks derivative, unless it's like part of the community, then they're like, I don't know. So I think there's like one
Yeah.
called Rainbow Punks that was kind of attacked a little bit. I don't know, something.
Yeah. I mean, I think eventually, like, the derivative for Miladies will be played out. Like, I mean, heck, Miladies might play itself out in 3 or 4 months, but I
Was
think definitely in 3
Milady
or 4 months,
was the Milady character not like a pre-existing internet meme? Like for example, when Elon tweeted that Milady, like he surely didn't know that that's an NFT collection that exists, right? He just sold the meme around the internet, no?
uh, it's
Oh,
definitely it's definitely, like, I always thought it was, like, related to, um, Mii's from MeTown, like, on the Wii, because they look really similar to
Yeah.
Mii's, but it's not. I think it's just a certain style of art and cartoon. There's a name for it. There's definitely a name for it, but I like to think that Elon did
Chibi,
know it was a trending
Chibi,
fucking
right?
NFT collection.
Yeah. I mean,
What'd you say, Jake? What is it called?
Someone I remember someone here about it's called Chibi. I think it's like something like that.
Yeah.
CHIBI.
yeah. Guys, I have to bounce now, but keep the chat going, okay?
All right, man.
Ciao, ciao.
Later. Jake, what's new with you?
Just working on a lot of stuff. Basically, of all these Web3 games going on that are coming, right? Rockstar's entering the space. We have, Gala Games with the Town Star stuff. They're, making a new web of experiences around whatever. Other side apparently is playing on their third trip, so people are claiming that you're gonna need a better system, right? Because all these other PCs out there that are making these games. I think Watsies was making their games on Steam. They have little events in the Discord saying, everybody come on here, put your VRM of your Watsi, and then play as that model and run around and battle people. I've done that a few times, but it does seem that a better system is needed, like for PC related. So I am currently right now building a PC. It's like an i7 13th gen or something with a 4070 Ti, something simple within like a nice fractal design north case, the black and mahogany front, it's kind of nice looking. And yeah, so I'm just prepared, basically like future proofing myself for like 4 to 6 years, whatever's going on in the space. And a lot of stuff is going on mobile gaming. So I might say I might upgrade my phone as well, because because we saw Axie Infinity now is on the App Store, so I'm gonna try that out. and a lot of other companies are focusing on mobile gamers because you have your phones are more accessibly available with everybody around the world. They have a phone, right? They can probably play a game on it. So people are also branching on to mobile gamers and also like PC gamers. And I'm wondering about how console gamers will play in the mix of things. You know, if Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, they get into the mix and they allow for that cross NFT platform, thing going on. But we'll see what goes on there.
Yeah, I mean, dude, the mobile gaming thing is not a joke. Like, most of the younger generation I know, they play more mobile games than they do PC games. That's not to say PC games or console games are dead. Like, I think it'll take a long time for those to go away because it is definitely like a better experience. But like, I know that like last year, like I think it was over half of gaming revenue came from mobile games. Uh, and it just kind of fits in with the whole trend of like short attention spans and quick dopamine cycles, and just general accessibility. Like mobile gaming is definitely just it's only going to pick up. I'm interested to see how it all shifts. Like because obviously we're not going to be stuck on smartphones forever. Like smartphones are the current like device meta, and they have been for a while. But before that we had like smartphones that weren't touch screens. Like they were kind of like Palm Pilots and Blackberries, and before that, it was fucking flip phones. But like, what's post iPhone? Like, is it Apple's AR glasses? Is it something else? Is it like Neuralink? Like, I don't know, but like, it'll be interesting to see how gaming kind of shifts into those things. And of course, it took a long time for mobile gaming to like really, really, really take root in such a prominent way. But if you go back to the early days of iPhone, there were games on day one. Like you can remember like the OG iPhone games, so like, Doodle Jump, even that wasn't like super OG, but I remember having that pretty early on my iPhone. And then even before that, right? Like BlackBerry had like bricks and I mean heck, even my like TI-84 calculator has some like cool ass like TI-94. I don't know, I forget the number. TI-83, yeah. Has some cool ass game on it. So whatever the new devices are, they're gonna immediately have games.
Yeah, a lot of the games, like you said, they were like Doodle Jump, Fruit Ninja. We had that like Tap Tap Revenge. A lot of the arcade
Oh
games like
yeah.
Asphalt. I actually, because they took off Tap Tap Revenge out of the App Store. I don't know why, but they were making a lot of money. But I even emailed the founder. I'm like, hey, like, well, would you guys get rid of it off the App Store? Quit updating. He says that they were requiring more of the funding. 30% was actually hitting them hard. And the only way to keep it running was to actually make in-app purchases to keep it basically afloat because they had to reach out to artists, like music artists to let them use their songs in the games. And a lot of times the licensing deals took a lot of money, and a lot of people they weren't really buying, all these musics in the game. They'd rather buy the music, from the App Store, or play the free version of the game, with all the demos and stuff. So they kind of like lost on that bet. But yeah, I think that game was um, too early for its time. It would have been a hit. I think there are a lot of like copycat games that are kind of like that nowadays. But yeah, like I see the modern day of gaming because COD Mobile is a big fucking hit. It's a big hit, and I've seen so many people play it. Now my older brother is actually playing COD Mobile,
Are they playing with like
because
the touchscreen joysticks?
yes, yeah, and I started playing it too. It's like, hey, let's play COD Mobile because it's like imagine going into like Black Ops 1, for the first time, and it's just like that. You have the firing range, you have your summit, you have your Nuketown, all those maps, and you're playing them like on your phone. Like imagine having console type games on your phone, buy skins, whatever like that. And mobile gaming has opened up this whole new vision of gaming because now people are, for example, like in Clash of Clans, right? Clash of Kings, all these kingdom castle builder games. They're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars. Some of them are the big spenders in the game. Some even close to 1 million at this point. And once they allow for NFTs, right? For example, when you're trying to get a hero in the game, trying to get a special item in the game, getting a crystal or whatever. Imagine having that tradable as an NFT. And once that happens, you'll see so many people flocking to NFTs because they'll be able to trade with their friends. Because right now, your only way to you're not really allowed to trade those assets It's basically you have to buy the castle, which means you give them the Facebook login, the Google login, or whatever. That's how you trade it, right? You give them access to the castle. But now imagine trading assets you get in your castle, resources, heroes, crystals, gems, weapons, armor, all these things that would allow for you to and then basically Apple would get a cut of that, 30%, but still it's a good safe way to transfer those assets instead of trying to say, hey, give me that login. And then someone's like says, oh, I'm recovering my login or whatever, and it's like steal the account back. And there's a lot of times companies say nothing they can do about it because it's already against their TOS to trade accounts.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people are focused on like fully Web3 games, but I think even if you implement tiny little elements of games where this feature or this item or this part of the economy is on chain, not necessarily even for game to game interoperability, but just for transparency and trust, like so that the devs don't just like rug you or whatever, or so that there's some transparency into how much like money is in the economy. It can open up a much more powerful free market economy. Like I've always been drawn to the games with strong free market economies, like old school RuneScape being a pretty good one, or like Eve Online having like an incredible free market economy. I think blockchain can really help enable like and empower like players to actually own the economies and just increase transparency. Uh, and, but yeah, I mean we'll see. Like I'm a little sus of the whole interoperability thing, but there was also that, I forget what it was called, but it was like a Game Boy looking wallet that, like, issues you a seed phrase, and, like, there's this little cat. Speaking of cats, now that we've got our feline photographer up on stage, but we we had like, there was this game where, the guy catches a fish, and then he talks to some cat and says, the cat in a Pokemon type environment is like, "Record these secret words carefully," and, like, basically implemented in this game is like a seed generator, which I think that was actually the purpose of the device. I don't think it was like a feature within a game. But you could imagine a game where like an NPC is a seed phrase generator and he issues you like kind of a exclusive POAP or something by telling you the seed phrase. I mean, there's so much that can happen with like micro features where you don't even need the entire game to be powered on Web3 or blockchain. It's just some tiny little fun Easter egg even, right? I mean, there's a lot. Austin, welcome to the stage. I'd love to hear what you're thinking. I also pinned, for whatever it's worth, this exciting news from Clash of Clans creators. Kareem sent me this. He's in the audience. But yeah, they announced a game called Army of Tactics. So that's new news to me and potentially you all. But Austin, welcome to the stage. What's up?
Yo, thank you for having me up. Yeah, I love this conversation. I've like, I mean, being a sort of artist like in this space, I've been trying to kind of because like I also am heavy into gaming. I've been heavy into gaming almost my whole life, just as much as I've been art. In fact, I kind of consider gaming like it's just another facet of art, really. But like I kind of think that like honestly, a lot of the sort of widespread adoption that will happen with blockchain, I think it will come through gaming. And I know that gamers are like super antagonistic towards NFTs right now. I mean, if you look at the landscape on YouTube for like YouTube, like like gaming content creators, oh my God, like they are unabashedly like unforgiving towards NFTs. And really, I mean, in my experience, a lot of them they don't seem to give the space or the tech or really any of it like an actual chance and an objective like look into like what you can do with it. I mean, really, we've only scratched the surface of what is capable with like blockchain and NFTs really so far. And I know that like Sony, I saw like some patents for Sony like doing some things like they're planning on doing. They did something with digital collectibles, but they didn't. They're not NFTs. So they've already been testing the waters, I think, with like the concept of digital collectibles without the NFT part to see if people would actually be interested. And people seemed into it. Um, and of course, they didn't say it was NFTs, and it wasn't, but it was the same concept essentially. And it was all through like PlayStation Network. If you had an account, you could get access to these like sort of nostalgic like parts of PlayStation history and all this stuff, and people seemed pretty into it. And I kind of think that with like the integration between blockchain and gaming, I think it's going to happen to a point where people won't even realize that they're using blockchain. I think it will be kind of a similar situation, almost to like the Reddit avatars in a way, where it's like they don't specifically say it's NFTs. They don't, come out and say, "Oh yeah, you gotta make this wallet." They'll. I feel like they'll have to use different verbiage because, for better for worse, I think the term NFT has just been kind of disgraced in a way, and the mainstream looks at it in a certain way. And I think, over time, that whole perspective on the tech and just the verbiage that we use here will change for the mainstream. But I kind of think it'll have to get to a point where people don't even realize they're using blockchain,
Yeah,
and
no,
then they'll kind of just come
100%. I
around.
mean, it goes back to like basic marketing of new technologies. You got to focus on the benefits to the user, not the technology itself. And Steve Jobs did this iconically with the new iPod. He didn't say, this device can hold 1 gigabyte worth of any MP3 or compatible audio file. He was like, yo, this thing, 1,000 songs. And people's fucking brains exploded because that meant something to them. But yeah, I mean, what games are you playing, Austin, just out of curiosity?
So actually, like you guys were talking about COD Mobile, and I'm someone who like I used to play a lot. I used to do a lot of PC gaming. I used to do a lot of console gaming, but I'm at a point now in my life, like just right now, where I almost feel guilty for sitting down for like 3 hours and playing a video game. And I'm always like creating stuff. I play guitar and like work on my photography business. And I still wanna play video games, but, like, I don't wanna just sit down and play video game because personally, like, just me speaking, I kind of feel guilty for doing so. So, I will play COD Mobile. In fact, I've been playing it for, like, the past 4 months, and I've been loving it. I haven't played Call of Duty in years, and I used to play a ton of Black Ops. I used to play a ton of Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare. And, yeah, COD Mobile, I was shocked how good it is, how in-depth of an experience it is, and I know they're making a mobile version of Warzone. It was supposed to drop, about a week or 2 ago, and then I think they delayed it a little bit. Um, I I I remember EA saying they were working on a Battlefield game. I think it got scrapped. But I'm really interested in, like, the sort of intersection between PC gaming and mobile gaming, as in, like, the whole Steam Deck thing. I'm sure you guys are familiar with that, and Switch.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, heck, even just
we
like seeing the rise of like free to play cross platform games, like, that wasn't a big thing 10 years ago, but in the last 5 years, it started to become kind of like expected to a degree. And a lot of the games that have popped off, you know, are like that. I think Fortnite being the best example. I mean, it's hard for certain games. I would have always in my mind put Call of Duty in the bucket of, well, you can't do cross platform. I mean, maybe you could do PC, console, which they've been doing for Warzone for a while, and matchmaking will help it, set up the game so that PC players aren't just like spanking console players all the time, and that it's actually like a fair matchup. But if you were to tell me that COD Warzone mobile would be popular and that people on mobile could play competitively, I'd like kind of like laugh in your face. But I guess if you can get PC and console players to play friendly using matchmaking, then I guess the same rule applies for like, PC to mobile, right? I mean, is it truly cross-platform when Warzone comes out? Like you could play a match theoretically with your friend on a PC?
I have no idea. Honestly, like I think we're still at a point where it's hard to make those such like two sort of separate platforms actually work. Like you were saying, like, people on PC are gonna have a bit more of an advantage and they're probably just more advanced like when it comes to skill, just by default. I mean, that's not to say there's people like I mean, when I play COD Mobile, holy shit, dude, like I wipe the floor with people. Like it's kind of funny. Like I'm shocked, but I've certainly got some friends now on there that play and they're really damn good. But I think that it might take a few more years for that sort of that seamlessness to happen. I think that like we've seen games get ported, like I think you were saying, like I mean BioShock, the original BioShock was ported to iOS, I think like in the 2010s, and I remember playing that on like my iPhone 5S, and I'm like, holy shit! Like the graphics were downgraded a bit, but this sort of thing has been happening for a while, and I think people are just now starting to catch on to it with more mainstream games getting ported, and like Fortnite, like you
Yeah.
were saying, stuff like
Oh,
that.
dude, I can't wait until I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of reasons why this doesn't happen, and it's like it's really just corporate strategy and control, but I've always wanted Nintendo to release all of their fucking games on iPhone. You know, frankly, they'd probably make a lot of fucking money doing it. And at this point, like an iPhone or an iPad with some third party controller attachment is like, it's the same as a fucking Switch. I mean, I don't own a Switch to be fair. So maybe I'm missing something here, but like, I feel like Nintendo needs to just double down on the fact that they make like some of the best games ever created and like maybe like just admit that like hardware is sort of just a commodity at this point and you should just be funneling your games to iPhone. But I guess it goes back to Apple's fucking 30% app store thing, which is a complete fucking highway robbery. But you know, their product is so good that they've continued to demand that rake even though it's ridiculous because people will bend over backwards because it's fucking Apple, and their products are like best in class. Jake, what's up?
Yeah, so I have three things. So before we got into the COD and Fortnite topic, I'm trying to get more involved in everything Web3, right? So basically, I've been going like that back and doing their things, reading up on all these like documents and whatnot. Then I saw that Polygon was getting into Web3 gaming, and one of the games they're playing was Game of Nations. And I actually played Game of Nations. Um, literally for like 3 weeks straight because they had a thing going on like you get a special Anubis character on Polygon where it goes like from mythic, legendary, and you name it all the way down to the lower rarities. And I got like top 15. So I played it so much just to get that character, and I beat out like a few thousand people that I guess were playing in the leaderboard. But yeah, um, I got this NFT on Polygon, this Anubis NFT. I should have had another account playing because I guess it's easy to like grind it out. You like two accounts, whatever, two devices playing. But like once Web3 thing gets crazy enough, you might see people doing what a classical.
Hey, I think you muted yourself, maybe.
Yes, sorry about that. And so yeah, I got a call, but yeah. So basically, in Clash of Clans, there's a guy. His name was Jorge Yao, who was top leaderboard for the longest time, and he actually had many iPads, many iPhones, constantly keeping the screen active. And a lot of the big spenders, they would pay him to keep their accounts active. So I can see in Web3 gaming when it has its like gold rush basically, where people are going to have many devices, kind of like a Pokemon Go style, like that one image that's shared as a meme where that guy is on a bike with an array of phones just hooked up onto his handlebars. I
Yeah.
think that's gonna happen soon. Um, going into like Web3 and everyone's going to be playing, possibly even having a Web3 component to Pokemon Go. You know, might be having because it's clear that Polygon is able to add to an existing game Polygon NFTs to basically enhance the game or give us a prize or whatever. And it's clear that it can easily be done. We've seen Starbucks Odyssey program do that as well. And going on to COD M, I played it a lot. Like a lot during COVID. Um, a lot of us we did quit. Now we're coming back because they promised us zombies like World at War style zombies, Black Ops One style zombies. Kino there on Toten. We'd have those types of maps, but then they didn't bring those back. They brought some other type of zombie back, but I'm still, I guess, playing it now again because like my older brother's playing it and a bunch of his friends are playing it, and I have like an OG clan name called Lounge. You can search it up if you want. And I was actually a room moderator for a lot of these gaming organizations. And what I would do is no one knew what the best like guns to use, perks to use, and whatever you have there. And in competitive play, you saw these pro players that never really showed their loadouts, right? That's a part of their strategy. But as a room moderator, as myself, kind of like a referee, I was able to look at all the top loadouts, play with them in their peak, and then get to the highest levels of the leaderboard. I was like legendary for like 6 seasons in a row, and yeah, I guess I gotta find new loadouts now. Maybe even ask them, say, hey, can I come back into all these other organizations to do that? Because um, I was a room moderator, and I was like for those games with like Tribe, all the top, you know, um, mobile gaming pro teams. I was like literally that person. I would never let anything go over my head. You know, if anyone tried to use a legal gun, legal item, perk, whatever you name it, I was there to DQ them. And a lot of times these teams are paid like $500 a game, you know, or even some of them $1,000 a week to play with these organizations like Tribe and a bunch of other ones. So like me DQing them in like a 20K tournament, like it was a big deal. So and then I told them I'll slowly get out of it, whatever, because I had COVID. And then I guess everybody was, like I said, was quitting to bring back zombies. Now they're coming back again. So if anybody here wants to play, you know, join my clan, Lounge Clan. Um, you know, it's kind of a nice thing. I'm grinding up the leaderboard to the end of the month because I think I'm at Demi, whatever the one Grandmaster right now is 6,000, whatever, out of 8,000. But yeah, the next thing is Fortnite, what you mentioned, Valko. Uh, Fortnite actually surprised me because it's getting into like this Web3 thing they're doing. I don't think it's kind of Web3, it's more like a metaverse style game. And how Sandbox does their stuff, where they, you know, partner with Stevie Aoki, Snoop Dogg, Paris Hilton, all these other companies and projects that they're getting with their sponsorships, and have these experiences where you can earn rewards, NFTs, sand tokens, you name it. It seems like Fortnite is doing the same thing, but not token-based assets. Because Fortnite, I went on there for the first time because the Star Wars event's going on, where you get like you literally have a lightsaber. They can throw things at people with force push, force pull, you name it, all these different things. And they are adding these game modes in there where you can actually play Coachella. So like there's like a Coachella mode where you experience Coachella in the same way like Sandbox would do it, where you go around, do missions, and then after you're done with that, you get in-game items for completing those missions. And Fortnite, I would say right now, is turning into an actual metaverse, and they are possibly the best Web 2 to Web 3 experience that I've seen pull this off because no one knows that they're actually playing a metaverse style game, but in a way they are because they're partnering with all these companies, all these projects. And apparently, I forgot what NFT product they were talking about, but some of them were talking about like giving or partnering with Epic Games. I forgot who it was. It was like a month ago, but I don't know if it was a lie or something. But hopefully, it does happen. Like we'll be able to see our NFTs eventually as skins in Fortnite. Maybe have some like connect your wallet to Fortnite, Epic Games or whatever, and play with those, I guess, things and have some path or something so they can get some kickback or you know with the whole experience. But yeah, like Fortnite is turning into this metaverse. A lot of times I do say like a lot of these companies they need to stop saying Web 2 to Web 3 because that's such a large leap. A lot of them haven't even they need to really bridge, you know, Web 2 to Web 2 in some sense. But I'm saying like Fortnite is possibly the best brand that is positioned so well that could easily go to Web 3 and no one even know it.
Yeah, I think there's got to be a lot of thinking on like what are going to be the actual benefits to the users of switching to any sort of blockchain based infrastructure, whether it's for like the economy in the game or digital assets, or maybe it has to do more with like clans and social graphs. I mean, heck, like as a Web3 user, I get excited about um playing Fortnite and getting matched with people that I'm connected to with, like, on the on-chain social graph. Like, you know, I own a variety of NFTs. Like, it would be sick when I was playing Fortnite if I queued up with people kind of in my circle. Because at the end of the day, this whole world, I mean, not just the digital world, like the world is like everything is so community based. People want to be part of something special. They want to be part of something greater than them. And I mean, historically, we've always been a part of communities, right? Going back to tribes and hunter gatherer times, like it's a very natural thing. And so I think that's something really special that the NFT community has captured, this idea of tribes and communities that rally around a certain idea or vibe or mission or feeling. And I think surely that's something that has a lot of synergy and overlap with games, whether it be matchmaking or clans. But for the regular users who don't have an on-chain presence, you have to then ask yourself, okay, well, what's the benefit? And I think that's the part that people just haven't cracked yet. As somebody who loves free market economy games, I like the idea of like actually knowing without having to trust the developers, like, okay, I'm playing RuneScape. How many gold pickaxes exist in the game? How many gold coins exist in the game? Just that simple certainty of the denominator of an item, whether it's a limited edition item, and I want to know that it's scarce and rare, um, or whether it's not, whether it's you know, the fucking highest quantity item in the game, and I want to do advanced analytics, knowing that this data is reliable and robust. Now, people might counter that and say, well, why why would we not trust the game developers? Why would they ruin their own game? That's against their um, you know, that's against their own interest to ruin their own game. That's stupid. But it happens all the time. You think you can trust people, and those who say you can't and shouldn't are often called doomsdayers until something goes wrong. And then that's the big I told you so moment. And so many people are happy to trust until they get burned. And you know what they say, right? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And that's for most people the moment that they don't want to fall in the latter bucket there, the fool me twice, shame on me. But for a lot of people, for most people, I think they it takes 4, 5, 6, 7 times before they're like, "Oh shit, there's a play pattern here happening, and I'm insane if I uh, try the same thing again and expect a different outcome." So now they embrace this don't trust, verify mindset. And I think people who have already been indoctrinated into the Web3 ethos and crypto are much faster at identifying those moments. And it's going to take a long time for regular people to identify these moments. But dude, it happens. Like, recently the Pokemon cards, like, the people were caught lifting cards off the assembly lines and selling them like super rare cards on the black market. And you think when you buy a pack from Pokemon that that is a very reliable and robust system. And when they say that there are only this many rare Charizards, that there really are, but it you can never trust them. And then there's the after effects, right? There's like, okay, well, we estimate based on trusted sources that 1,000 were created back in 1998, but like, how many exist today? Who are they owned by? Does this guy actually own one? Is this one actually real? How many are still in circulation, right? Blockchains help with all of that. And I think that is certainly valuable. It's real benefit for gamers, not just now, but in the future. I mean, heck, if and when some of these very popular games shut down and they cease to exist, they will still be very important parts of history and culture. Like the dawn of Fortnite, whether Fortnite exists in 10 years, will still forevermore be a very important part of gaming history and culture. And just like historians struggle to find information on past societies, the same will be true for finding past information on these video games, unless all the information or some of it, maybe just the game's economy, was actually kept on chain. Now we are able to learn about this lost society that was, the Fortnite gamers of season one in 2200, right? So there's so many benefits that I think people just haven't been able to articulate. And yeah, nobody's going to give a fuck about benefits for people 200 years from now. Like, sorry, like people now don't care about that. Like, I think that's evident in the way we treat the world sometimes. But point being, I think there's a lot of thinking that has to be done on what the real benefits are. And I think right now they're still so loose and weak at best. And I'm really eager to see who from the big game houses is able to figure it out first. But maybe perhaps looking at this Clash of Clans, this new project they're working on, Army of Tactics. Like, I'm gonna check that out over the weekend
I just did.
and see like what any obvious benefits
So
to observe.
I went to their website. It's done through Galax. I remember that company that was also on Sandbox game and also on Datback. And Galax, it's kind of like that, like a Datback type thing. And they closed off the open beta it was only up to the first 1,000 people, and it's already like 3,000 people in the Discord. I tried to do the verify thing to get through their Discord, and it hasn't allowed me or some for some reason. I've done all the normal verification things, but there's like a verify button doesn't let me in. I don't know why, but yeah, it's very interesting. I am going to play it because, like I said, I'm trying to get involved in all these Web3 games,
Dude,
Web3
you have to
experiences.
document this. I'm
I will.
serious. You are putting in some serious hours and reps and all these new things, and I want to keep up with it and live vicariously through you. So I don't know what it takes, but like I think there's a content gold mine there. If you're like you're the guy just like that people can vicariously check out all these new games through. And like, maybe I don't have time to play 10 different games this month, but I can find the one I should play based on, your content. I would eat that
Oh
shit up,
yeah,
dude.
100%. Like the thing is, I am so used to mobile games. Uh, like I would rather play mobile games over my Xbox when I had it. I haven't even bought a new Xbox yet, but I did buy a Switch, and over Switch, over the whole COVID thing, I bought a Switch and upgraded it to the OLED one, the black and white. So I like the colors. Playing Animal Crossing and all these other types of games that my brothers just say, hey, get the new Pokemon. I haven't played it, but I have it still in its box. But yeah, with mobile gaming, it's I am so in tune with that whole aspect of mobile gaming. Like if any NFT company is like, hey, get on mobile gaming, we're gonna play some games, whatever, I'll be like right on their top leaderboard, you name it. I will make sure that happens. Because in that game I was playing Clash of Kings, I was so involved in that game. I was made a moderator, and then they call it a gifted moderator because I was also with their Facebook group and helping out with their and creating content. I have like was at my peak 1,700 subscribers on YouTube, making content for Clash of Kings, and I privated those videos. So I moved over to making COD mobile videos because someone's like, "Hey, you should spend all month of February of that year, 2021, I think it was, if I'm not mistaken." I'm just making
Yeah, dude,
content
you
on
should pick
COD.
one Web3 game a week and just like review the fuck out of it. And do that for like 6 weeks and make shit ton of content on it. And then on week 7, you have to start getting new games competing for your screen time because they want to be the next game you review. And you can basically become
That's what did
the
happen.
Marquise Brownlee of
You
Web3
wanna hear
video
what
game
happened?
reviews.
So, I was so good at making content videos because I was actually the US strategy writer manager and the US battlefield porter manager for that game, and, they told me that 'cause I signed, like, a little contract thing, because they gave me, like, $300 a week of in-game items, and they paid my flight to Hollywood and play in their events, and our team won actually because my strategy that I use.
Bro, you're
Um
sponsored.
But but I'm sa but the thing is though, they told us that we could not make videos on any other game, that was in the space competing like them, making Kingdom Builder, Castle Builder games,
I
and,
see. Yeah, see, dude, like once you become the biggest dick in the room, you can be like, yeah, I don't sign non-competes, actually.
well, like, I was so good at what I did. I'm not trying to, like, humble brag or anything, but, like, a lot of these, how I see this translates a lot in many areas and fields of even NFTs as well. There you see this one lady I was playing with. She was a oil recycler in, I think it was in Africa, not Africa, Australia, east side of Australia, and she was spending a lot of money on the game. And she saw one of my videos, DM'd me. She transported her castle to my kingdom, and which costs like a few $1,000s to do, just so
That
I could
sounds like
help
an
her.
innuendo.
That's what I was gonna say.
Just so I can help her with the strategy, because she was spending 10 grand a month on the game, right? Just to like be a normal player basically. And I got her down to 5K a month
Do
and
we
then
think
down
this
to
person had
3K
a
a month.
problem?
Well, a lot of them do. And I even was I was told to come when I was working in Jersey. I was told to come down to Philly, being the number one US spender in the game, and he showed me around Philly, the South, the South Street, a bunch of other areas. And he's like, yeah, dude, if you want to fix his castle, I fixed his castle and his true formations live and everything for him. And they started banging on people, hitting their castles or whatever, right when I was there. And yeah, like all these, it's a large community of people. They have meetups and everything, but um, when someone hears that you can save them, like $10,000 to $15,000 a month because they're spending the money anyways for some reason. I don't know why they spend that money
Dude, this is
anyways.
the craziest value proposition I've heard in a long fucking time. I mean, all good offers. I always say this. All good offers are you can save me time, you can save me money, or you can make me more money. But I've never thought about it in the context of I can save you money that you're already recklessly spending buying fucking gem coins and insert game.
Yeah, like I was helping her with her formation, right? She was doing some weird formation. I only never know what it was. She was doing some default thing, right? I helped her make some set formations, you can save them and everything with special heroes, special armor, you name it. And after a month or two of doing that and building up to what it was she had to do, she was like this big killer. And the worst thing about it was she joined the Chinese clan and they told her to attack me for something, whatever.
That
And then she hit me, took away half of my power. That was like 3 months of work, just not spending any money. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I know I did that much damage." I'm like, yeah, you did. I made your castle to what it is now. I know you do that damage. What do you mean? You know?
dude, this is amazing. This is like some Star Wars plot, like good guy gone bad. Like sensei, student becomes the teacher and then like destroys the teacher.
It was so horrible. Everyone was like, "Oh my god, did she really hit you?" I'm like, "Yeah," and I literally taught her how to fucking hit me.
Dude, what the hell? Dude, this is great content. I think I think there's something big here, Jake. I think it's like a mixture of, you know, vicariously reviewing games and playing them for people who like maybe don't have the time. So there's probably a streaming element there. And
There
then
was, yeah.
I think there's like kind of a Web3 gaming book club where it's like, all right, lads, like this week we're gonna all play this game and we'll talk about it next week. And then because of that, everybody wants you to review their game because you're moving around with an audience of like 1,000 gamers who can just like, QA the fuck out of their platform or like stress test it or frankly just like bootstrap some initial users. Um, yeah, and then there's all this amazing content stories where you help someone. Maybe there's a coaching model in there, but you help them and then they betray you. You basically just need to engineer more of these like absurd situations where people just like wreck you.
And the thing is, like, when that happened, like, my friend, because I didn't know it was happening, because like in the game you can shield your castle or not, and a lot of times it does cost like a few dollars to shield your castle for like a day. I'm like, I'm not gonna spend $60 a month shielding my stuff, you know. And right at that moment, I like there's no one out to like attack me in the game, so I really didn't care until this Chinese new person came. They transferred kingdoms, to ours, and then they started taking over, and like they took her and use her as a tool to attack me, which wasn't, nice. But yeah, like
Dude, that's
yeah,
whack. We need to turn you into like a machine here and get you an incredible war chest of resources so that when your next student turns on you, you can spend infinite dollars on shields and then the joke will be on them.
well, the thing is, that's why I'm waiting for this whole Web3 gaming thing, because like that is literally what I do. That is, I'm just waiting for the next game to come out. Like I use I don't even know about the Clash of Clans thing, because in Clash of Clans, and there's another game called Samurai Siege. That was like people that were protesting Clash of Clans. They wouldn't make Samurai Siege, and I was actually they had like things like 10 town hall levels at the time, and I was town hall 7. I didn't want to spend any money on the game, but I stopped at like a max town hall 7 in that game, or castle 7, I think it was castle level 7, and I was in the top 50 in that game with a level 7 where everybody else had level 10 castles. And people would pay me to like make special castle layouts, and all these things to ensure that they would never go down the leaderboard. And one guy gave me $100 iTunes card for giving him a good layout. So
Dude, what the hell? This is interesting. I think there's a business model in here. I don't know how much free time you have to pursue this, but it sounds like a very exciting way to make a living if you ask me. But
well,
anyways, I actually have to go. I've got some duties, but it's been super fun. Jake, thanks for hopping up on stage. Austin, so nice to meet you and thanks for sharing your thoughts on gaming. It was a really good chat. Kareem, thanks for feeding me the alpha on Clash of Clans. That was dope. Amit, thanks for being here for the whole space. I'm really excited to check out your pictures. I'm really into this like rogue climbing building scenes. I did a lot of
can I
parkour as a
interrupt for
kid,
one
so
second?
this is kind of my jam. And Carlos, thanks for listening. Yeah, what's up, Jake?
So Unstoppable Domain is having something in their Discord server. I just found this out while you're talking. Basically, it's for Bitcoin Pizza Day. So if you, they have special things for each of their roles, and they're served like historic roles, right? And one is the 2023 pizza roll. And if you show proof of pizza by taking a photo of your ordered pizza, order your baked, and with your Discord ID, Unstoppable Domain that you have, and the word PAP 2023, you get that special roll. So if anybody has an Unstoppable Domain, wants to get a pizza
Jake,
today,
this is the obscure alpha I absolutely needed today. Thank you.
well, the thing is, like, you
All
never
right,
know. A lot of these
boss.
people that they provide special whitelists or special, drops or
Hey,
whatever.
dude,
People have
you
special
never
roles in
know.
servers.
In a
So
year from now, we should be getting fucking free pizza NFTs that give us unlimited Papa John's pizza for life, sponsored by Shaq, who, by the way, owns a fuck ton of Papa John's franchises. I need to get Shaq on here. I don't know how to do that. If anybody knows Shaq, we can get Shaq on here to talk about his business success. It's kind of obscene. Maybe we can rope him into Web3. But, anyways, topic for another day. I really got to go, but it's been super fun. Thanks everybody for joining. And I may not be able to do Thursday because I'm going camping starting Thursday morning. But if there is cell reception, I will do my best to join and host a space then. If not, I will see everybody next Monday. Peace.